Well, emotional intelligence is a term that was actually developed by two very prominent researchers at Harvard University called Peter Salovey and Jack Mayer. And then it became a very popular book by Daniel Goleman, and it sold a lot of copies. But emotional intelligence actually in the original format was the ability to be able to do 4 different things with regard to emotion.
Okay.
And the abilities were, number 1, the ability to identify emotions. And the second was the ability to use emotions. And the third was the ability to understand emotions. And the fourth, which is the most difficult, is the ability to manage your emotions.
Right.
So with children, we don't expect, we try to train them to manage their emotions, to regulate their emotions, because they don't know how yet. And the best way to teach children how to regulate their emotions is by setting ourselves up as the role model. So if we can be regulating our emotions when we're training them or we're trying to teach them or coach them, then they will learn a lesson without even you having to do a whole lot of things.
So the first step is looking at yourself. So what do you look at exactly?
Well, you try to be empathic. You try to understand what the child is saying when they're acting, because children don't talk a lot. Mm-hmm. They show, they react, they throw things, they hit, they kick when they're unhappy. And you know that that's what kids do. We don't expect a whole lot more from them. But if we want to socialize our children, we have to teach them that it's okay sometimes to be mad, but not to show you're mad. It's okay to be angry, to have your anger, but not necessarily to break your truck because you're angry, or to hit your little sister because you're not happy that she toppled your blocks. So that's what we need to be teaching them, how to articulate, how to translate what they're feeling inside into words, because they don't have the vocabulary. And our job is to introduce to them the vocabulary of emotions.
So, I mean, you're talking about teaching the children, so it must be more important for the parent to be emotionally intelligent first and to be able to pass on the information. Is that right?
Well, I think the most important thing for the parent to do is to learn to calm themselves. As when your child is being reactive, most parents will be kind of fusing with them, kind of sticking together with them. So it's hard to tell who's the parent and who's the child. You know?
Because sometimes your emotion ends up equaling theirs, right? If they're yelling, you're yelling at them.
Well, it's hard to stay calm and non-reactive when your kid is just losing it around you.
Right.
So it's your job to be, since you're the adult, it's your job to be centered and taking the time to be thinking while the child is being overflooded with emotions. Mm-hmm. So that's not easy to do. I see a lot of parents in my practice who have a hard time with that.
So what's a step that you can, or some advice you can give to a parent when that kid is going nuts? How do you bring yourself into that calmness while the child is running around like crazy?
The best thing to tell yourself is that don't take it personally. I think parents tend to take it personally, as if the child is attacking them and they're the victim of the child.
Right.
And then you react as if you are being attacked and you become defensive. But if you can remember that this is a little kid, they don't know anything. Mm-hmm. And you are doing something that for the rest of their lives, it will influence them. We have to teach children very carefully. You know, children really were not validated for their emotions. We didn't even think that children had emotions until about the 20th century. Children have been routinely shamed, humiliated, ridiculed for having emotions. They've been misunderstood, and we thought that only adults had emotions. Like children didn't have the capacity to have feelings. And only recently, in the last 20 years, have we started to take a lot of attention to the fact that emotions are important. They direct our thinking, and they give us information. So thinking, if you can understand that emotions are something that can give you data, that negative emotions particularly are not bad, but you can use them to get information about yourself and about what your child is going through.
Wow. Mm-hmm. There's an eye-opener. Now, when we've got 2 segments with you, which is great.
Yeah.